Hello and welcome. I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching India Today Global. The big story. It's being called a golden age for US-Japan relations. Trump and Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi sealed a $550 billion trade and defense pact, cutting tariffs, boosting investments and countering China's influence. But is this stability for Asia or a looming power showdown? Here's a report by Rasht-Astara.
It's being called a golden age for US-Japan relations. In Tokyo, President Donald Trump and Japan's newly elected Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi have signed a historic set of trade and mineral agreements worth a staggering $550 billion. At the glittering Akasaka Palace, the two leaders exchanged warm words and symbolic gifts. From a gold leaf golf ball to a signed putter once used by the late Shinzo Abe, Takaichi's mentor and Trump's close friend.
And it's a great honor to be with you, especially so early in what will be, I think, one of the greatest prime ministers. I think you will be one of the great, everything I know from Shinzo and others, you will be one of the great prime ministers. I'd also like to congratulate you on being the first woman prime minister. That's a big deal. That's a big deal, and I want to congratulate you on that. I think that has to be called out. And you're going to do a fantastic job, and we're going to have a fantastic relationship. Thank you very much.
Their message, continuity, camaraderie, and a stronger than ever alliance. The new accords slash US tariffs on Japanese imports from 25% down to 15%, while Japan pledges massive investments in American manufacturing, AI, shipbuilding, and clean energy. Takaichi called it a defining moment, her first big move on the world stage and Trump's biggest foreign policy win since returning to the White House.
I
often heard from Prime Minister Shinzo Abe about President Trump's dynamic diplomacy. You contributed to Asia's peace, including helping bring about a ceasefire deal between Thailand and Cambodia, and more recently the agreement in the Middle East, which was an unprecedented historic achievement. In order to make Japan and the United States stronger and more prosperous, I want to work together with President Trump to build a new golden age of Japan-US alliance.
But there is more at stake. A second agreement on rare earths and critical minerals aims to reduce dependence on China. A clear signal as Washington and Tokyo tighten their grip on global supply chains. Beyond economics, the two reaffirmed their defense alliance. Japan will hike military spending to 2% of GDP, buy more US defense gear, and even nominate Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize for his ceasefire diplomacy. As Trump's Asia tour continues, with stops in South Korea and a high-stakes meeting with China's Xi Jinping, this Tokyo summit sets the tone. Trade, technology, Taiwan, and tension, all on the table in what could reshape the Indo-Pacific balance for years to come. From handshake diplomacy to hard power deals, Trump and Takaichi's golden age might just be the dawn of a new era in the Pacific. With Shaurik Shah, Bureau Report, India Today.
The Taliban-Pakistan peace talks might have hit a roadblock following several rounds of negotiations mediated by Turkey and Qatar. This has really heightened tensions along the border. Both countries have launched blame and counter-blames, with the fate of people hanging in the balance. Meanwhile, all border crossings between the two sides have remained shut for more than 2 weeks now, with trucks carrying goods stranded and waiting for the reopening of routes. Mahashweta Lala with this report.
Turkey agreed to mediate in yet another conflict, this time between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Istanbul hosted both Kabul and Islamabad for peace talks. After 3 days of negotiations, peace talks collapsed, with state medias of both countries blaming each other for failing to reach a deal. Pakistan has time and again claimed that Afghanistan has been a haven for terror outfit Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which Kabul has been denying. The talks in Istanbul are a part of a broader diplomatic push to ease tensions at the borders. Delegations from the two neighbors remain in Turkey, but it was not immediately clear whether a fourth day of talks would be held. Earlier rounds of negotiations were held in Doha, which was mediated by Qatar and Turkey. During the negotiations, the two sides agreed to an immediate ceasefire and the establishment of mechanisms to consolidate lasting peace and stability between the two countries. Both parties also agreed to hold follow-up meetings in the coming days to ensure sustainability of the ceasefire and verify its implementation in a reliable and sustainable manner. Pakistani media reported that Turkish officials and several other countries are working to uphold the ceasefire agreed on October 19 in Doha after the first round of negotiations. Pakistani Defence Minister Khwaja Asif has warned of an open war if peace talks failed.
I saw in them that they wanted some peace. So if their conditions regarding us are met, then God willing, there will definitely be an agreement. If we cannot reach an agreement, then there is the option of open war against them.
According to Pakistani officials, the Taliban delegation was not fully willing to accept Pakistan's proposals. Similar accusations were made by Afghan-controlled media RTA against the Pakistani side, saying Kabul made every effort to hold constructive talks, but that the Pakistani side does not seem to have this intention. Meanwhile, Taliban First Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Interior, Mohammad Nabi Umari, has said that if war is imposed on Afghanistan again, Kabul will defend itself and give a tooth-breaking response. Meanwhile, as peace deal is awaited, all border crossings between the two sides have remained shut for more than 2 weeks. However, with trucks carrying goods stranded and waiting for the reopening of key trade routes. US President Donald Trump has pledged to resolve the crisis, adding yet another accolade to his efforts stopping wars. Mahashweta Lala, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, 2 U.S. Navy aircraft, an MH-60R Seahawk helicopter and an F-18 Super Hornet fighter jet crashed in separate incidents in the South China Sea on Sunday within a span of 30 minutes. The U.S. Navy has acknowledged the crashes but has not disclosed what the aircraft were doing in the geopolitically sensitive South China Sea at the time. However, China's foreign ministry said the aircraft crashed during a military exercise. Chinese Foreign Ministry also said it would be willing to provide humanitarian assistance to the U.S. following the crashes. The U.S. Navy has launched investigations to determine the cause of the crashes. The incident occurred as the USS Nimitz, one of the Navy's oldest aircraft carriers and also the world's largest warship, operated in the South China Sea. USS Nimitz, one of the largest warships in the world and the oldest aircraft carrier, is set to be retired by 2026. The crashes come at a sensitive time, coinciding with US President Donald Trump's visit to Asian countries, where he's expected to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping to discuss trade and other issues. Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif is on a 3-day visit to Saudi Arabia. This is his 4th visit this year. It also comes following the signing of a mutual defense agreement between Shehbaz Sharif and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Shehbaz Sharif and Salman bring along a high-level delegation, and is also the two sides are also attending the 9th edition of the Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh, hosted by none other than Crown Prince Salman. The visit also comes after the Saudi delegation's visit to Pakistan weeks earlier, during which several deals were inked. Pakistani Premier hosted the delegation at the Prime Minister's office. As part of the Mutual Defense Pact, Saudi Arabia plans to increase bilateral trade with Pakistan from $5 billion to $15 billion annually across all sectors. Now, French police have made new progress into the recent theft at the Louvre Museum, detaining 2 people for questioning, according to local media reports. According to a statement from the Paris prosecutor's office, authorities apprehended several suspects linked to the Louvre jewelry theft. One suspect was arrested at Paris airport as he prepared to board an international flight. 9 pieces of French crown jewels kept at the world-renowned Louvre Museum in Paris were stolen by 4 burglars. During their escape, the gang abandoned one of the stolen items, which was later found damaged near the museum. Around 100 investigators have been mobilized to track down the perpetrators and recover the missing pieces. According to the Paris prosecutor's office, the estimated financial loss from the robbery amounts to 88 million euros. Now, a US YouTuber is facing online outrage for posting a video in which he participated in a festival in Karnataka, in a village in Karnataka, during which people throw cow dung at each other to mark the end of Deepavali. The video, which has garnered 5 million views on X, drew criticism from social media users who accused Tyler Oliveira of mocking a tradition and ignoring its religious significance. As outrage grew online, the 25-year-old claimed his video was being censored and mass-reported by Indian users. Responding to the criticism, he defended himself, saying, and I quote, "It isn't racist to film a poop-throwing festival." The video posted on the 23rd of October was filmed in Gumatapura village during the Gorehabba festival. According to local belief, the village's deity, Bireshwara Swami, was born from cow dung, and the festival honors this legend by having residents throw cow dung at one another. He then shared another video titled, and I quote, "I survived India's poop-throwing festival," showing him walking along a road, drinking water from a bottle, barefoot, with his hazmat suit smeared in cow dung. Many social media users accused the YouTuber of disrespecting traditions and culture and saying his portrayal of the festival carried racist undertones. Meanwhile, many even suggested that his video might have been AI generated. To this, Oliveira responded, and I quote, "This is 100% real. I can't wait to show you a 30-minute version of it, traveling 10,000 miles and spending thousands of dollars." Two nations under sanctions, one railway defying the West, to be precise, from Iran to Russia. The Rasht-Astara line isn't just steel, it's strategy. In today's Statecraft, we ask, is this the dawn of a new anti-Western world order being created by Russia and Iran? Watch the full episode on Statecraft on India Today Global's YouTube channel. They were sanctioned, they were cornered, but now they're building a new road, not through diplomacy or peace, but steel and defiance. Iran and Russia are about to connect their fates through the Rasht-Astara railway, a 162-kilometer line that could change global trade forever. A link in the International North-South Transport Corridor, or the INSTC, designed to slice through continents, bypass the Suez Canal, and shatter the economic chokehold of the West. It's more than a railway. It's a rebellion, engineered in iron, fueled by sanctions, and aimed straight at Washington. So the question is this how Iran and Russia are fighting back against America and the West's sanctions? Hello and welcome. You're watching Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. As the US doubles down on sanctions, Iran and Russia are striking back with rails, ports, and pipelines. Tehran calls it a turning point for regional connectivity. Moscow calls it a declaration of independence from Western roots. And together, they're reviving a trade artery that predates empires, from the Persian Gulf to the Baltic. But here's the twist. Is this defiance just survival, or the start of a new anti-Western economic bloc backed by China? Let's break it down. This 162-kilometer stretch between Rasht and Astara isn't just concrete and steel, it's the missing link in a geopolitical jigsaw. Once completed, trains will roll uninterrupted from Iran's southern ports all the way to Moscow, St. Petersburg, and beyond into northern Europe. The route forms the beating heart of the International North-South Transport Corridor, the INSTC, a 7,200-kilometer network that slashes trade costs by 30% and cuts travel time from 37 days to just 19. That's almost half the time of the Suez Canal route. For Tehran and Moscow, that's not just logistics, it's liberation. Two sanctioned economies, both forced to the periphery, now building a corridor that runs right through the heart of Eurasia. This isn't cooperation, this is confrontation by construction. The railway doesn't just move cargo, it moves power. Russia's not only paying, it's building. Its engineers, its expertise, its strategic hand guiding every kilometer of the track. 4 years of work to finish what history once paused. Because this route isn't new, it's ancient. So yes, this is Iran and Russia fighting back, but it's more than retaliation, it's reinvention. A land bridge between the Indian Ocean and the Arctic Circle. One that rewires how goods, gas, and geopolitics flow. The corridor transforms both nations from pariahs to pillars, not of the Western order, but of a parallel one. Let's talk about timing. The Rasht-Astara deal comes as Iran and Russia begin implementing their 20-year Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Treaty signed in January 2025. That's not just paperwork, it's policy. Trade, energy, defense, infrastructure, all bound together in one long-term alliance. When Moscow and Tehran talk about strategic depth, this is what they mean. Rails that connect economies, roads that bypass sanctions, ports that never sleep. And here's the irony. The more the US tightens sanctions, the faster this corridor moves. The message is clear. Every time Washington tries to isolate them, they build another bridge. The INSTC itself isn't new. It was envisioned back in 2000 by India, Iran, and Russia as a way to link Mumbai to Moscow via Tehran and the Caspian Sea. But it languished in bureaucracy and geopolitics for 2 decades. Now sanctions have breathed life into it. What began as a trade route has turned into a geopolitical weapon, and every kilometer of new rail tightens its grip on Eurasia's future. But here's where the story widens: China. Beijing's support for the North-South corridor within the framework of its Belt and Road Initiative carries enormous weight. After pouring billions into Pakistan's Gwadar port to bypass the Strait of Hormuz, China now sees this corridor as the perfect complement to its own trade network. It's not just about logistics, it's about leverage. For Beijing, linking the INSTC with the BRI means building a seamless land bridge from the South China Sea to the Baltic. And in doing so, it brings together 3 heavyweights: China, Russia, and maybe India if BRI is not a part of it, since it's a very sensitive issue for India. But each with different ambitions, one shared goal: to escape the chokehold of Western sanctions. This convergence could blunt the impact of US and EU restrictions on Iran, reshaping Eurasian trade flows beyond Washington's control. How far will the West let this partnership go before it strikes back? And let's not forget, while the US tries to isolate Iran and Russia, Beijing welcomes them into BRICS, into the SCO, into shared platforms that reject Western sanctions as illegitimate. It's a silent revolt, one railway at a time. But there's another piece of the puzzle: Afghanistan. Russia's early recognition wasn't about ideology, it was about infrastructure. A stable, cooperative Afghanistan means uninterrupted transit routes for Moscow's Eurasian dream. And Iran? It's already building roads and energy links to Afghanistan, hoping to anchor the country's trade eastward, not westward. If Kabul joins the INSTC, it won't just be a passenger, it'll be a pivotal junction. And let's be clear, this isn't just about trade. This is about power projection. The US built its empire on oceans. Iran and Russia are now building theirs on land. The corridors they're constructing redefine connectivity and sovereignty. A ship can be sanctioned, a bank can be frozen, but a railway that runs from Tehran to Moscow, that's a lifeline no aircraft carrier can blockade. The US sanctions regime, the so-called maximum pressure policy revived by Donald Trump, was designed to cripple economies. Instead, it's forging alliances. Iran's oil exports may have dropped. Russia's tech imports may have slowed. But together, they're building something sanctions can't stop: infrastructure.